like to thank you for coming for a special night, for fresh environment. I would like to welcome Mr. Karim. Mr. Karim has got a wide experience. He was working for Ministry of Environment, and he is a consultant for environment, and he got completed many projects related to environment, and he's the one who's teaching environment NIBOSH, and he's certified. And I would like to take opportunity to introduce himself more. Please welcome with me Mr. Karim.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening. My name is Dr. Karim Rashid. Okay, I was working with the environment more than 20 years, and I delivered training for NIBOSH environment certificate and diploma award also, more than 15 years. Right now I'm a freelancer, and I work with the environmental United Nations as international expert. And tonight I will try to focus on two concepts: HSE, health, safety, and environment, with the SDGs. First of all, I'll give you a brief about the SDGs. Then I'll try to connect it with the health, safety, and environment. Actually, this topic is still very new and very recent. Even there is no publication in the academic about this topic. Okay. And brief introduction. I'll talk about the journey of the environment. Actually, it was started in 1972. It was the first conference. It was in 1972 in Stockholm. But I don't want to talk about the full journey about the environment. I will focus on some stages only. Okay, because no time. Otherwise, if we talk about this slide alone, maybe it will take 3 to 4 hours. Okay. Anyhow. Okay. Anyhow, the environmental journey, it was side to side with the health and safety. Okay. We cannot separate environment from health and from safety. As I mentioned, in 1972, it was the first conference. After 20 years, they start another Earth Summit. It was in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, and they call it Earth Summit, and they start to establish or formulate Agenda 21 for the worldwide. This Agenda 21, very comprehensive document about environment, health, and safety, and about all the issues worldwide. They try to put all the issues in one agenda, and they encourage all the countries to start their contribution, their efforts to solve these issues. Okay? After 10 years, Rio plus 10 also, because the agenda very comprehensive, and this one voluntary, not legally binding, not like laws. Okay? It is voluntary if you want to implement it or not. After 10 years, they formulate Millennium Development Goals. This one 8 goals on. Okay? Minimize a small agenda. Instead of very comprehensive, they said, let us start with only 8 goals. Only 8 goals. Okay? The 8 goals, there are 2 goals. One goal for health and safety, and one goal for environment. They started from 2000 to 2015, but still there is no effort, no real contribution from the countries to solve these issues. Why? Later on, I will talk about the challenges, the obstacles, why the countries, they cannot implement all these initiatives. After 20 years again, they start to think about another initiative, Agenda 21, Millennium Development Goals. They said they start to think about another initiative and easier initiative to give it to countries to implement it at the local level. Okay? Since 2012 to 2015, they start to drafting SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. Okay? As I mentioned in the MDGs, only 8 goals. Okay? And the SDGs, they make 17 goals. They try to separate some goals. Instead of 1 goal for the environment, make it 2 or 3. For the health, maybe 2 or 3 goals. For the economic, for the development, so and so we will see later on these goals. In 2015, the journey of MDGs finished, but not all 8 SDGs were accomplished, unfortunately. Okay, maybe 50% or 60% of these goals achieved. Okay, still there is gaps. Not only the gaps, the changes, you know. Okay, the world is changed. For example, in the COVID-19 pandemic, almost all the lifestyle, all the processes, the new industries, and so almost the world changed during only 2 years. Okay, what about 15 years? Anyhow, in 2015, they launched the 17 SDGs. It was in September, and in 2016 entered into force. So the new journey for the whole the planet started from 2015 to 2030, 2030. Almost we are in the midway now. We are in the midway. I don't know if you are follow the news. Bahrain now, they start to prepare the second report for the SDGs. Okay, they should report for the United Nations what has been done in the first stage of this journey from 2015 to 2023 about all the 17 SDGs. Now, as I mentioned, the focus on the environment, health, safety, on the human life as a whole started in 1972. It takes almost now 15 years since last year, 15 years. But the evaluation from the expert worldwide in the United Nations, they found still the progress is very slow. The progress is very slow, and the issues, problems, the gaps accumulated and increase year by year. They should take some actions to accelerate these initiatives. So in Stockholm, after 50 years, they focus on 3 issues: climate, nature, and pollution. As you know, right now, the hot issue worldwide is the climate change. The climate change, the hot issue worldwide, because it is related to the industry, especially for our area, oil and gas area. Okay, you know the emissions from the process. So they focus now on the 3 issues: climate and nature and pollution. When we mention pollution, all type of pollution: air pollution, land pollution, and water pollution. Okay, so from these 5 initiatives, we can achieve the 3 issues and the progress of all the countries. For example, we have the Decade of Action for the United Nations. They put some initiatives for the countries. For example, the consumption and production from the industrial sector, how they minimize their pollution by recycling, circular economy, and so on. Also, tonight we will talk about the 2030 agenda, more about it. Paris Agreement on the climate change. Okay, it is very important. Also, the biodiversity. Biodiversity, it is essential for our sustain on this planet. Without biodiversity, we cannot sustain our life on this planet. Why? You know the food chain. The food chain starts with the biodiversity. Okay, without this one, there is no base, no starting for our food chain. Okay, that is one of the important. Also, the Green Post COVID-19 Recovery Planet, a new initiative. They try to put new plans now, new plans after COVID-19, because as I mentioned, the world almost changed now. Okay, it has changed. Now, I'll give you a brief about the Sustainable Development Goals, then we will relate it and link it with health and safety. Okay. These are the goals of Sustainable Development. Okay, 17. Okay, we have one, no poverty, zero hunger, health. Okay, all these 17 goals, the new agenda for the whole globe. But tonight we will focus only the related one to the health and safety. Okay, these goals actually divided into 5 groups. Okay, these 5 groups or 5 pillars. The people, some of these go related directly to people, and some of them relate to the planet and partnership, to the peace and prosperity. Prosperity means the economy, our sustain and economic growth and so on. Okay, these goals, for example, these goals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one related directly to the people, how to improve the human life on the planet. Okay, once we achieve these goals, we can improve the lives of the people on the planet. These goals 6, 12, 13, 14, and 15 related to a planet. Means these goals related to the environment, to the ecosystem. For example, the goal number 6, water. 12, about the sustainability for consumption and production. 14, the life below water, and 15, the life on the land. That means all these 5 goals related to our environment. Okay, one goal about the partnership, this one, actually the goal 17 is the umbrella for the whole goals. Another 5 goals, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, related to the prosperity, that means our life on the planet, to make it more easier, more prosperous. For example, the goal number 7 about the affordable energy. As you know, now the energy sector is very important worldwide. How we can shift from oil and gas to another alternative, for example, solar energy, wind energy, and so on. All the world, they talk about the goal 7, and I will talk about some initiative at Bahrain later on. The goal number 8 also decent work, and goal 9 about the innovation in the industry. And right now we are in the 4th industrial revolution, and this one based on intellectual what we call it?
Knowledge.
Excuse me?
Knowledge economy.
No. الذكاء الاصطناعي, intellectual.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes, artificial intellectual now. Okay, and the goal number 10, the equity between the men and women, and the goal number 11 about the urbanization, the clean cities. Finally, the peace. There is one goal of the peace, focus on especially the areas which there is some conflict, for example. Especially you have now about the water conflict between some countries. You know, the water, they call it right now the blue economy, especially the dams and the rivers and so on. In Africa, for example, between Egypt, Ethiopia, and Egypt and Sudan. Okay, they need this goal to solve the conflict between them, among them, to solve the water resources and so on. And the main principles also for these goals, no one left behind. That means they try, okay, to achieve all the 17 goals instead of leave one goal or two goals, same as the MDGs, which same what I said. For example, the MDGs, it was 8 goals, but unfortunately not all of them achieved within 15 years. Also, these goals, one of the principal human rights based approach, okay? They try to they focus on the human rights in each goal, and the poverty, and the health, and the environment, and the innovation, and the peace, and so on. They put the human rights in each goal, okay? For example, SDG number 4 about the education, okay? The right to know, and so on. Also, equity and justice. Equity and justice, they try to make the justice and equity among all the countries. Instead of mention developing countries and developed countries, okay? There is no some categories like this one. They try to make it equity and justice among all the countries. Also, very important point, partnerships and multi-stakeholders, okay? They can make some partnership at the local level, regional level, and international level, because the partnership and stakeholders and shareholders is very important. With this partnership, we can accelerate the implementation of the SDGs. The final principle of the Sustainable Development Goals, the comprehensive approach. As I mentioned, these 17 goals, very comprehensive and covered all the issues which related to the sustainable development, which related to environment, economy, and society. As I mentioned about the 5 P's and pillars of the sustainability, and try to make comprehensive approach in the policy making. It is very good opportunity right now to modify our policies and laws, not just in the public sector, even the private sector. They can make new regulations and new policies, okay, which aligned with the sustainable development goals, okay, to improve the quality of industrial sector and private sector and so on. The characteristic for the sustainable development goals also, it is integrated, all these goals integrated together. That means you cannot achieve one goal alone. If you achieve one goal, it is directly or indirectly related to other goals. And we'll take some example later on. Inclusive, as I mentioned, very comprehensive, includes all the issues. Universality, that means worldwide. The MDGs, Millennium Development Goals, it was only for developing countries, but these goals for the whole universe, for all the countries. Participatory, as I mentioned, the partnership among the countries and at the 3 levels, at the local and regional and international. Interconnected, okay? That's goals, one of the characteristics or features of these goals are interconnected. For example, if we talk about the climate change, how we can achieve climate change, for example, how we can minimize the impacts of the our industrial sector. Okay, it is related to our health. Okay, related to the people, related to the economy. Okay, related to many issues. So this issue is very complicated. Why it takes more than 20 years just to adopt this what we call it convention about the climate change. Finally, national ownership. These goals easy to localize at the national level, not difficult. We can localize the SDGs at the national level. Even as I mentioned, even in the public sector and private sector. Even the country, they can modify and improve or make new regulations, or they can what we call modify their policies. For the private sector as well, they can also to modify their, for example, vision, mission, and policy in line with these SDGs. Okay. Final slide about the Sustainable Development Goals. Almost I talk about all these last slides. The potentials of the Sustainable Development Goals. It is very important for the partnership at the global level. That's mean right now no one talk about the local market. Now we have one market at our planet right now. Okay, the partnership is very important. Even we found this potential during the COVID-19. The relations between countries. Okay, who can provide the vaccines, for example. This country can get this much of vaccines. Other countries, maybe till now, they don't have this vaccine. This one, it depends on the partnership in the global trade and market. The capacity building, we can raise our skills and knowledge through these goals. The environmental development, we'll talk about this one. The technology now, as I mentioned, we are in the fourth industrial revolution, and many things that will be changed. The finance, very important, and one of the more important is the data. How we can find the data from the countries, from the private sector, to evaluate the status. Without this data, we cannot achieve all these, or we cannot even achieve all the sustainable development goals. So why the countries now they prepare their sustainable development reports? As I mentioned, Bahrain, they start for the second report, and they will submit it in coming July. Okay, the indicators. Okay, the indicators of sustainable development goals, we will find, for example, some indicators related to the social. In the social pillar, we found health and safety. Okay, many indicators about health and safety in this pillar. The second pillar, if we talk about the economy, about the development, about the partnership, and so on. The environmental pillar, these are the indicators. Right now, we talk about the fourth pillar of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the governance. Governance is the fourth pillar. Right now, they talk about it, and I think some companies, they try to put it in their plans here in Bahrain. I know only 2 companies now. They modify their strategy or environmental policy, and they put governance. For example, if we want to measure the progress of the environment in our country, we should study all these indicators. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the data. If we have the data, we can measure the poverty, health, safety, education, and so on. Without the data, we cannot measure. So these indicators are also available in the website, a set of the indicators. You can, even you are an individual or your company also, they can use these indicators and implement it at your company itself. Now, I will link the health, safety, and environment with the SDGs. Not the 17. Only I select only 6 the SDGs to present how these SDGs related to health and safety, not just the environment. Okay, first of all, I will start with some international reports, which is very important actually. For example, this report, okay, issued by ILO, International Labour Organization, for 100 years. They evaluate the workplaces in the 100 years. Okay, it's very important report actually. One of the outcome, see 7,500 of people actually die daily. Okay, and 6,000 of them from the work-related diseases, and 1,000 from the accident. Actually, very high statistics. Okay, 100 years there are many statistics in this report actually. Okay, so they reflect the status of the workplaces, not just in our countries, at the worldwide, all the countries, even the developed countries or developing countries. And I found actually the number of incidents or accidents or deaths actually very, very, very high. Okay, this one about Bahrain, for example, from the side of ILO, they mentioned about some statistics you can see in their website. Okay, another statistics from the ILO, for example, more than 2 million yearly workers die from the injury and diseases, and almost 160 million workers suffer from non-fatal diseases, and more than 300 million yearly from non-fatal injuries. But let us see the impact on the economy, for example, of these statistics. Almost 4% of global GDP, gross domestic product, lost from these dies and incident and accident. Okay, almost 3 trillion, almost 3 trillions from the economic global economic loses yearly. It is very high. Okay, so the health and safety related directly to the economy. Related to the economy, you cannot separate the health and safety from the economic point of view. This one slide just to show you. This one, according to academic study, there is some calculations, and they found the percentage is very high. In case there is another report, I'll talk about it. In case there is no change in our policies, in our workplaces, okay, the estimations it will be increased to 6% till 2023, unfortunately.
So that means you want to say that it will continue the same figures without any improvement?
Yes.
Without reduction?
Yes. If there is no actions, no improvement in our workplaces, okay, this one it will be increased more and more. Expected estimation it will be around 6% in 2023. Okay, it will be very high, almost 4.5 trillion US dollar. Okay, another report. Okay, this report about health, safety, environment 2023. Okay, the story of this report. Okay, by SOS Foundation. Why they conduct this study after COVID-19? After COVID-19, as I mentioned, they want put some strategies and policies to 2023. How they can change the HSE to be in line with the international or global changes. Okay, this one based on interview and a questionnaire with around 290 experts worldwide. These experts of HSE from all the world, even from Bahrain, from Saudi, from US, from Britain, and so on. These statistics, very interesting actually. See, the key driver for the change, regulatory compliance, more than 72%. If we want to change the status of HSE in our workplaces, we must focus on our regulatory, that means on our policies and regulations. Okay, then we can change. So the key driver, regulatory compliance. Why? Not all companies, they are complying with the regulations, not just for the public sector, for the Ministry of Labor, even internal. Okay, most of you, I think they are safety officers. Okay, and suffer from their labors at the workplaces. Even they give them goggles and helmet and safety shoes, and not all of them comply with the regulations or procedures in the workplaces. Just the advisor or the officer left the site. Okay, maybe they will play there. Okay, not all of them they will comply with this one. So more than 70%, they said, the expert, the regulatory is very important. We should improve our regulations and policies time to time. Okay, how we can improve this one? Based on our study on the status, okay, the data and statistics. Okay, once we have all the data and statistics, the number incident, accident, the deaths, okay, and so on, then we can improve. There is something wrong. There is some gaps. Without these statistics and data, we cannot improve our regulatory system. It is very important.
Is there any guidance in the book for how to make the study or
Yes,
criteria?
yes. There is some contact persons also here. If you can contact them also, I can provide this document and previous document also for ILO to Mr. Yasser, and he can distribute it among you also. Okay. The second key driver is the industry best practice. Best practice is very important. Okay. We have two concepts. Okay. Even in NIBOSH, when we teach the NIBOSH, we have two concepts: best practice and best technology. Always we say the best practice prior than best technology. If you can implement best practices at the workplaces, you can improve. Instead of high technology, sometimes you don't need high technology, recent technology, very expensive technology. Sometimes if you can make some guidelines and if you can raise the capacity building and skills of the laborers and teach them, you can increase the best practices at the workplaces. Best practices means less incident, less accident, less deaths. Okay. The third one, data management, as I mentioned. Okay. So these are the three key drivers to change the HSE worldwide: the regulation, best practices, and data management. So if you hide the data and statistics, we cannot implement best practices and we cannot improve our regulations. Okay, these are the three main key drivers to improve the HSE in our workplaces. Now, let us talk about the SDGs which are relevant to health and safety. The SDG number 3, good health. Good health is the SDG number 3 of the 17 group of the SDGs. Almost these target 3.4, 3.8, and 3.9 related directly to the workplaces. As you know, the healthy workplaces is very important. Okay, so they put some indicators for these goals to measure. For example, how we can reduce mortality of work, for example, the diseases or mental health diseases at workplaces. It's very important to provide health workplaces for them. For example, ILO, not just ILO, even here in Bahrain and all GCC, there is some regulation about the workplaces conditions, lightning, exhaust fans, and humidity, temperature, and so on. They put certain parameters for the workplaces, for different workplaces. For example, for the carpentry, for the garages, for example, chemicals storage, and so on. They put set of conditions.
Regulation.
Yeah.
Safety regulation.
Yeah. We have here Mr. Hassan. He is an expert in the Ministry of Labor, and they knows also there is two regulations related for the chemicals, for example. Okay, which is issued by Ministry of Labor. Okay, they talk about the health also of the workers for the handling of the chemicals, handling, storage, and transportation, and so on. The second one about the health coverage of the workers with the financial protections. That means the insurance. You should provide insurance for the people, okay, in case of incident or accident. The third one, reduce number of deaths and illnesses, is very important goal or target, how we can reduce the number of deaths and illnesses. Okay, this one very important. As I mentioned, if we don't have the data, we cannot reduce. Okay, That means if I put target, for example, how we can reduce. For example, if I take data from 1990 till 2000 or 2020, for example, to see the number of deaths or illnesses in our workplaces is very important. Accordingly, I can modify our policy or regulation in both public and private sector. Without this, we cannot. In summary, SDG number 4, quality of education, training. Training, how we can provide, for example, the right training, okay, and how we can raise the skills and capacity building for whole people in our organization, okay?
Also, the effectiveness of the training. Sometimes people will attend the training, but there is no follow-up or checking they are fully understand practicing the training.
Mhm.
If they just attend right training without follow-up or effectiveness of the training, so it will be same as before. Just I attended and that's all.
Yeah, this one right now, if we talk about the quality of education and the training, this one depends on the company itself or industry itself, okay? What are their needs, okay? What type of skills?
Type of training.
Yeah, the type of the training. Sometimes
Machinery,
yeah.
sometimes chemicals,
Yes.
sometimes pollution, sometimes noise.
Yeah.
Should be provide this type of training to ensure that the labor can be compliant
Yes,
with the
absolutely right. Okay, so the needs of the company itself, okay, and the type of the sector. I cannot provide the training, for example, for oil and gas, same for the chemicals company or a plastic company or aluminum or petrochemical and so on. That's mean it depends on the HR or training department of the
The
company.
nature of the
Yeah, they can specify their needs. Specify their needs. For example, some of the companies, they request, they want to train their laborers on material safety data sheet only. How to read material safety data sheet, how to implement it in the storage, in the handling, in the transportation. Very, very specific, for example. Okay, it is one of them. So the SDG is number 4 is very important. When we talk about the awareness also, it is part of the SDG number 4. The She Week, for example, the She Week in some companies, we should invest in the She Week to focus on very important issues in our organization. It is good opportunity in the She Week. We can, for example, conduct some partnership with our laborers to listen to them. Okay, what are the leakage there and so on. It's very important. So this goal, it is very, very related to health and safety. Another one, decent work and economic growth. The labor rights and promote safe and secure working environment, very important. As I mentioned from the beginning, all the SDGs based on human rights approach. Okay, in each goal, they put some criteria for the human rights. Okay, it is one of them, how we can secure the working environment for them. For example, all of you, and most of you about, you are safety officers, during, for example, the wind or during the summer, okay, they stop working till from 4 or 5 to 12 p.m., for example, then they stop the working. Okay, scaffolding, for example, during the winding and so on. So you consider all the weathering conditions, for example. Number 9, about the industry innovation and infrastructure. And this goes about the researches, innovation, also how we can improve our workplaces. Some companies, for example, they have some initiative about good idea to initiate the people or the workers in the company to provide some ideas or some solutions for some issues or problems in their organization. Another goal, the climate change, number 13, as I mentioned, the hot issue worldwide, about how to protect the workers' health. Right now, as you know, the temperature is very high, okay? We have some regulations here right now. Maybe يعني I thought it will change. It will change now also because Bahrain they issued the third report for the climate change, and they talk about the workers' health يعني as well.
Bahrain, the first country in the Gulf which issued a regulation regarding the humidity and the temperature in the summer.
Yes.
From July to August. Yearly.
Yes, and as Mr. Hassan mentioned, as I mentioned also, our local regulation, they talk about some criteria in the workplaces, the lightning, humidity, and temperature, and so on. The last one about the peace and justice, the institutions, how we can support the institutions to improve the workplaces, like this society is part of SDG number 16. So the country should support this association or society to promote more initiatives about workplaces. So why do we need to integrate sustainable goals in our environmental programs or plans in our companies? Actually, I put some points. For example, the first one, to increase our knowledge and education about all the issues. As I mentioned, all these 17 SDGs, very comprehensive and cover many issues worldwide, not just worldwide, even at local level. Also, to know the rule. Okay, it is very important to specify the role of each person, not each department, each person in your organization. Then you can ask them to take the responsibility. That means the accountability. If they know the rule, they should tackle their responsibility. Then you can make some accountability about them. Also, how to integrate it in plans and policy makers. As I mentioned, if we know the whole SDGs, the requirements. For example, not all the SDGs we can implement it in our organization. We can start with one SDG or two SDGs for one goal or two goals or three goals. That's enough. Okay, we can put it in our policies and regulation and plans. As I mentioned, we have some companies already, they started, for example, GBIC, Alba, Babco, and other companies, they are on the way. Okay, or already they put the SDGs in their policies and regulation. The most important, how to localize it at the national level. Not just I put it in our plan to show, okay, I put SDG number 2 or 3 or 4 in our policy, in our mission, vision, blah, blah. No, how to localize it. That's mean there is some calculations and outcomes. Okay, how you achieve this goal. What are your initiatives, the progress? For example, the waste generated. Have you minimized the waste generated? The air pollution, for example, okay? How much you minimize the air pollution? Okay, just I came from Morocco, and their airport, very big board, and the airport, they mentioned, they use solar energy, okay? Today, we store this much of energy, we use this much of energy, we cut off carbon dioxide this time. Very interesting to show all the people in the airport. Okay. The last one, to take actions, is very important. Once we increase the knowledge, we know our role, responsibility, we modify our regulation, we localize it, then to take actions. Okay. What should we do in the coming years? The future plans, our future plan. Okay. What do we need in the coming years, for 5 years or 10 years, and so on. Okay. For example, about the ISO 14001 right now, about environmental management system, they are working very hard now about to combine the SDGs with the ISO 14001. The last edition, it was 2015. Okay. They are working the new version right now. They are working the new version. Maybe in I think in 2025 they will release it. Okay, the SDGs, it will be one part of the SDG of the ISO 14001. So if you are company now certified with ISO 14001, After 2 years, if you are not started or put a future plan, how to implement this is the SDGs, you will not certify with the ISO 14001. Okay, so you should plan from now. Okay, even one, as I mentioned, one goal or two goals. Okay, so the ISO 14001, they classify these SDGs direct contribution and indirect. As I mentioned, all the SDGs integrated and interlinked. Okay, if you achieve one goal, it is maybe related to another goals. Okay, for example, the direct contribution for the SDG 3, 4, 6, 7, 9, 11, 12, and so on. We talk about the 3 and 4, the SDG number 6, the water. Okay, how much you conserve water at your organization? Do you have a treatment plan? Okay, do you have a plan to minimize use the water and so on? Okay, about the SDG number 12, how much of waste generated at your organization and how much minimize it and how much you will minimize it at the coming 5 or 10 years and so on. The climate change, the emissions also, how much emission emitted in your organization and so on. See, these 3, 6, 7 goals or 8, 7 goals, yes, direct related to ISO 14001. And this slide show indirect contribution. Okay, that one direct, this one indirect. The goal, for example, number 1, no poverty, zero hunger, decent work, sustainable cities, life below water, life on land, and partnership. These goals also related to ISO 14001. That means this one 7, that one 14 goals out of 17 related directly or indirectly to ISO 14001. And you know, now even this one 45,001, okay? There is some amendments coming also on the way. They were related to the SDGs as well. So the International Standard Organization in Geneva, now they are working very hard to include the SDGs almost in whole standards. There are some standards related to the energy, okay? One standard related to climate change and so on, okay? It is very important. This is an example, okay, for the companies who are certified for with the ISO 14001. They should start thinking seriously from now about the SDGs, how to put it in their plans, okay? Before I finish, okay, as you know, the social, I talk about this one when I talk about the indicators. Now, some companies, they start to, they have some, what we call it, positions in their company about the ESG, okay, environment and social and governance. Are these the 3 pillars equal to the sustainability? Yes. This one according to sustainability. Maybe some of you would ask, where is the economy? Economy, it will be included in the with the 3 pillars. The economy part of the social, economy part of the environment, and economy part of the governance. Okay, and these are the requirements for each pillar of the new sustainability, for example, for the environmental pillar, social pillar, and governance pillar. See, in the social pillar, they put health and safety and working conditions, employee relations. So this pillar almost related to health and safety. Okay, so the 3 pillars or ESG equivalent to sustainability. Okay, these are some projects that will be in Bahrain. Okay, for example, alternative sustainable chemicals. Yes. Okay, most of the chemicals or some of the chemicals now phase out. For example, I don't know some of you from refrigeration companies or sponge factories. ODS, ozone depletion substances, it is phased out, and we have new one, halon, argon, and so on. Most of the chemicals now we have some alternative by the ozone, for example. Okay, marine biodiversity and seawater quality. As you know, we are depends almost 100% on desalination plants. So the healthy of biodiversity of the seas depends on our, it will affect our life. Okay, without good or healthy marine biodiversity, we will lose our life. because we don't have aquifers or groundwater enough to desalinate it and pump it to the citizen. Okay, so we have some projects on this one. Sustainable business solutions, as I mentioned, intellectual initiatives. We have the capture and storage of carbon dioxide. We have, for example, GBIC, they have carbon recovery, carbon dioxide plant. They capture all the carbon dioxide and inject it again to their process. Solar energy projects, almost most of the companies, they implement some solar energies. Even on the shade for their parkings, they put some solar panels to capture this energy. Net zero, it is very important, and Bahrain announced it in last year. Our crown prince in UK, the meeting for the climate change, he announced about the net zero, and we should achieve it in 2060, same as in Saudi Arabia. Okay, the roadmap and sustainability pathways. That means how we can minimize the impacts in our ecosystem or our atmosphere. For example, some of the companies, they try to expand the plantation. They put more trees, okay? Minimize the transportation and so on. There are many initiatives for the net zero. Some of them very easy. You can implement it at your organization. This one's the solar energy projects related to the net zero as well. Okay, if you put some solar panels, if you use the electricity from the government, that means you contribute in the net zero. If you expand the plantation at your organization, you contribute to the road to the net zero. Okay, if you treat your water, okay, the wastewater generated at your organization, instead of dump it to the sea, you are contribute to the net zero. The recycling, okay, instead of dispose it at the landfill, you conduct some segregation and recycling, it will contribute to the net zero. So all the activities, the daily activities at your organization, almost all of them related to the net zero. In Arabic, they call it al-Hiyad al-Sifri, okay? How we can achieve the net zero till 2060. Maybe it is difficult to achieve it 100%, but at least if we achieve more and more, for example, 50%, 60%, then we can build on it. For example, the solar energy here in Bahrain, we have a plan. Till 2025, they put 5% and 6% gradually, okay? We cannot achieve it 100%, but gradually we can achieve. Even our goals, we cannot put some fantasy goals in our organization, or fantasy policies or mission or vision, no. We should put something implementable, achievable, okay? Instead of put something very fantasy and we cannot achieve it, okay? So the challenges is there, but how we can convert the challenge to change, okay? It is very important, okay? We should, okay, convert the challenges to the change. That means we should start to change in our workplaces, in our organization. According to my study, real study, okay, I found these are the main challenges at the workplaces here in Bahrain to implement sustainable development goals, or to make what we integrated among health, safety, and environment. Actually, we have lack of expertise. We have lack of expertise, especially in the sustainability, to guide, to advise, to assist the organization, the government support or incentive. We need the government to provide more support and incentive for the companies who implement the sustainable development goals, or at least comply with the local regulation. The knowledge, okay? The knowledge means continuous. We cannot make one seminar or workshop, conference, She Week, okay? Yearly, from one She Week to another She Week, no. The knowledge, part of it, training and awareness. The awareness is it is a continuous program. not just in the She Week or 1 day or 2 day. No, we have a plan for full year to continue our efforts in the training and awareness. Economy or financial issues. Sometimes there is some lack of the financial resources, so we cannot implement some initiatives. Finally, technological. Okay. Technological. Some companies, they cannot change their technology or improve their technology. Okay. So these are. We should start with our plan, a new plan or a strategy, or modify our plan or a strategy, as I mentioned, according to the study of the status, the data, the statistics. We can improve. Continuous training and consider sustainability issue. We should put sustainable in our strategy. This word very clear. Okay. No need to delay it right now. As I mentioned for ISO 14001, when they ask about the policy, where is sustainability in your policy? It is very important. Okay, the sustainability, it is not that much complicated or difficult. As I mentioned, recycling, segregation of waste, some initiatives in our organization, it is part of the sustainability. Okay, allocate budget for research and development. Okay, and unfortunately, more than I can put from my study, maybe 2 or 3 companies, they allocate budget for research and development, because from research and development we can improve our situation at workplaces. Otherwise, no. I cannot bring the third party from outside to study my status. No, from the company itself, we should have department specified for research and development. They know about the process, the policies, about all the issues in our organization. I feel these are the main solution to solve these challenges. Okay, the conclusion, and quickly. Okay, the lesson from the COVID-19, as I mentioned, there are many changes and challenges. How we can capture these challenges to opportunities and opportunities to change. So there is a need to study the current situation through surveys, interviews, studies to identify challenges and obstacles. I hope the Society of Health and Safety, they conduct a study in whole Bahrain, okay, or in some small scales, for example, for some sectors, to see the status. Okay, what are the requirements, the challenges, obstacles? Okay, gradually to study another sector and so on. I hope they put it in their plans. SDGs strive to balance social, environment, and economy aspects. As I mentioned, sustainability is very important. From the sustainability, we will save our economy, save our human health, we will save the environment, and so on. So there is a balance between the 3 pillars or the 4th pillar if we put the governance with them. Occupational safety and health linked to the future of the environment. We cannot separate health and safety from the future of the environment. It is related. Okay, so there is a need to expand the scope of HSE to cover related SDGs, as I mentioned. The SDGs present opportunity actually right now to improve our policies and regulation. Finally, strengthen the capacity building of HSE officers through specialized training and courses, workshop, and so on. As I mentioned, the right training, the right education, the right everything. Okay, I cannot train them just for training. No, I train them to raise their capacity, to contribute. Okay, to lead the change in my organization. Otherwise, no, it is waste of money and waste of time. Okay, and thank you so much.
Any question to Dr. Karim? Don't worry about the time, I will give you it.
Sorry.
Good. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, if you have any question.
Any question, gentlemen? Ladies, gentlemen? Any question?
Yes.
Do you see this association between occupational safety and environment as a global trend? Will it continue for a long time, or are we eventually going to have a point where occupational safety is going to be re-separated from environmental practice?
See, if we talk maybe our experience with the NIBOSH, for example, okay? The NIBOSH start almost in 2011, or they planned from 2000, and they implemented in 2010 or 2011. They specify courses for environment only. Okay, they separated from health and safety. Okay, they separate this curriculum, for example. It is not, not just this is not related. It is related. Okay, even at the organization, we cannot assign this responsibility for one officer for health, safety, environment, security. Wawa. He's not a Superman. He's not a Superman. Okay, very difficult. If you refer to the report which I mentioned here, okay, I show this report is very important. I found it very important because they conducted after COVID-19 to study the status of HSE worldwide. Okay, more than 290 experts worldwide. They participate in the survey and this project, and they put future direction for HSE. Okay, as I mentioned, now we have ESG. Okay, now HSE is part of ESG also. It is part of it. Okay, maybe it will come more. Maybe it will come maybe more complicated right now. Okay, but we can simplify it. We can simplify it. Okay, once we know, as I mentioned in that, our rules and our responsibility, it will be fine. But we can't put all the responsibility on one person. This is wrong. Okay, because he's not a Superman. He cannot control all the issues in our organization, even from the small and medium scale, not just the large scale. Even the companies or the sectors which I work in 24 hours.
The culture of safety now has changed. I remember 2000, around above 2000, anyone doesn't like by management, they say, okay, leave him in safety. He's a driver, he's making trouble, put him in safety. But the culture now improved. If you are not certified with X certification, you are not a specialized in safety or HSE.
At the global level, it was ILO, International Labour Organization, WHO, World Health Organization, UNEP, United Nations Environmental Programs. They are working separately. Right now, no. All of them assembly in one meeting. ILO, WHO, UNEP, UNIDO, WAWA, all these now under one umbrella. The SDGs, not just for United Nations, for the environment. ILO contributed, UNIDO, WHO, all of them contribute in the formulating the SDGs for the world one. Okay, as I mentioned, it is integrated and interlinked. We cannot separate health from the environment. Okay, the healthy environment means healthy people. Okay, the healthy workplaces that mean healthy of the workers and so on.
Even the management the environment of the department itself. If the leader are not healthy, it affects the people around him. So it will be a wrong direction. If the leader is healthy, that can affect all the team and all the organizations.
Yeah. Some companies, even they have expansion, only expansion, or they change some products, okay? They modify their policies and their vision and mission and so on. But I found here in Bahrain sometimes some companies, their expansions maybe have 200% or 300%. But it is same policy and same regulations, same vision and mission.
But some of companies, when they starting implementing the law or bringing new machinery in the plant, they train the laborers to how to deal with the how to operate the machine itself, and they ask them to make a risk assessment for the hazard when they are using this type of machinery, because it is new one, because they use before old machine there is no any safety devices or but this there is a safety devices, but some of this machine is very speed machine, so they can't they make hard for the labor instead of the product five product. There is now about 20, so they find very difficulty to manage with this machine. So they train them to deal with this type of machine as safety and health.
Yeah, risk assessment is a part of the SDG number 3, the health. Okay. Anyhow, there is another important point. I don't cover it in my presentation because I can't. Maybe another seminar. The sustainability reporting. Okay. Now, instead of the annual report of the organization, they call it sustainability reporting. Sustainability reporting. Now, we can see this one, the passport of the organization. The passport of the organization. For example, any company, I was in Saudi Arabia last year twice with the Ministry of, one of the ministries. If you want any loan, okay, from the World Bank, they request the sustainability reporting. Without this report, you cannot get your loan. It will be even here, the World Bank, even in our, at the national level also, maybe some banks here, sometimes provide some loans for organization. They will request the sustainability reporting. Sustainability reporting also very comprehensive, covered all the issues, health and safety and environment, economy, governance, and so on, so on. Okay, this is one of the a new issue right now, but not all companies, they have their own sustainability reporting. You can see some type of these reports for the GBIC, ALBA, and BABCO. They issue their sustainability report. It is very important, and they reflect their efforts, their contribution in whole issues, not just environment, health and safety, environment, economy, training, and they put the SDGs even in their report also. How much they achieve SDG number 4, how much they achieve SDG number 6 for the water, and very, very interesting actually. And I hope another companies also start their sustainability reporting even in this year. It will be fun, even at the small scale, not whole organization.
The Bahrain labor law mentioned that any company should have a safety policy.
Yes.
Safety policy should be signed by the managers and should be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
One of the elements of the safety policy is risk assessment.
Yes.
Risk assessment, it is very important to achieve the safety in the company, because and the other thing, one of the requirements is work permit,
Yes.
especially the hot work permit.
Yes.
Especially you have very dangerous machinery or any operation should be issued.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the main things in the labor law also.
Yeah. But actually, not actually, unfortunately, we should emphasize them to update their procedures and their regulations. Okay, the regulation requires them, okay, to have certain procedures and for risk assessment, for health and safety. Unfortunately, if you see any guideline for them, maybe since 1971, 1975, and so on, so the regulation should be request them to update
Because
each
the-
5 years or 10 years, it will be fine.
The-
Okay,
the
otherwise,
the labor law mentioned this. Every 3 years
yeah,
should be the safety policy should be
Update.
reviewed
review them.
according to the nature of the company,
Yeah.
according to the new machinery, new operation,
Yes, yes.
new laborers, new training. All this should be taken into consideration.
But the actual, no one comply. As I mentioned, regulatory compliance. All of them comply to update or
Yeah.
update their procedures.
I work as a
Maybe unfortunately I saw some
I
of
wa-
them.
I-
Only they changed the date.
No, I am working as a safety consultant for companies,
Mhm.
and we have this type of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
That safety policy, and the safety policy should be studied every 3 years.
Yes.
And there a lot of change should be taken in consideration according to the activities, new activities. That's it.
But you know the huge sector.
The huge da, but I mean.
You know that small, we
But
have
the labor
medium,
law-
large sector.
This is the
Yeah.
labor requirement.
Yes, you are right. There is a lot, but the actual, all of them comply with this requirement or no?
I don't know.
Yeah, here we discussed about the ozone layer depletion
Yes.
and sustainability and emissions as well. So what I found is we also need to know about the reduction of the carbon blueprints.
Mhm. I think we need another seminar since we on this one.
Yeah.
If we talk about the climate change, how to reduce and the initiatives and so on. Actually, this one they call it right now, the new concept net zero.
Yeah.
Net zero, it is cover all the climate change, the ODS, ozone depletion substances, the chemicals, the plantation, transportation. Very complicated, very huge document, this one, okay? Okay, maybe next time if we arrange.
That's the last question.
Like as you said about carbon, now European countries as well as international regulators are coming up for carbon reduction. They are
Yes.
implementing tax
Yes,
on carbon.
the tax, yeah.
So that's geopolitical issue is coming up. That's why the implementations are
Yeah,
slow.
yeah, yeah. For example, the direction, last point of Bahrain now for the full electrical car. Okay, the full electrical
Yeah,
car.
that's why.
It is one of the national efforts, okay, to, because we have hybrid car. Hybrid car, unfortunately, it is not success here in Bahrain. Very few persons, they buy this type of cars here in Bahrain, okay? Now they want to shift to the full electrical car, okay? But put your in mind, full electrical car, it is not the ultimate solution,
Yes.
okay?
Because of the
See,
batteries.
Not just batteries, you need infrastructure.
Yeah.
Instead of petrol station, you have electrical station,
Yes.
okay? You need specialized parking in the malls, same as in the, what we call? City center. In this city center, the new parking, they specify some parks for the full electrical car, okay? So the consequences of this one, it is not an ultimate solution, okay? It will solve, okay? It will cut off the pollution of the normal cars, but the car after using, it will be obsolete. Batteries and so on for the recycling, there are some consequences also, okay? But it is not a full solution for the air emission, okay? We should put in our mind, we don't have يعني full solution for all the environmental issues worldwide, not just in Bahrain. So we should have a plan also, and before we start our full electrical car, we should have a plan also for the future, for the infrastructure, parking, even the power generation plants, okay? It will be overload on them to provide more electricity for these stations. Okay, once they are working more, that's when they will emit more nitrogen oxide, okay? That's mean indirect pollution, we call it indirect pollution, okay? We cut off the pollution from the car, but increase pollution from
Right.
power generation electricity power.
As well, this battery lead will also impact the environment.
Yes, yes.
So
Okay.
what's the solution?
See, the solution, we don't have recycling companies in Bahrain,
Yeah.
okay? One of the solutions, okay, we should put in our contract, after use this car become obsolete or damaged, return it back to the factory, okay?
Yeah.
We are small an island, okay? We cannot increase our the serial sector for the recycling. Not all the recycling sector is solution, okay? Recycling is an option, not solution. One of the options, okay? The best option, the stop pollution from the source.
This is the main.
Okay, thank you.
Like-
I know, not possible, but we should contribute, okay? We should.
I would like to thank Dr. Karim for fruitable information and knowledge and new techniques and how we can go and see the way to effect in our companies and procedures so we can develop it day by day. And thank you, Mr. Abdul Karim, Mr. Al Karim, for your effort. سيبني عشان لو بعد مرة واحدة. حياك.
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 حياك عمر. احمد حياك.